What's up, YouTube? What's up, family? It's your boy Mount back with another YouTube video. Today is day 3 on my 30-day fitness marathon. You feel me? I ain't got no weights. I'm only dealing with my body weight, the ground, and that chair, as you can see. Make sure y'all subscribe, leave a like, and comment. You feel me? Comment on how y'all think about my forms, the basic workouts that I'm doing, and what y'all think I should do. You feel me? It's just little old me, skin and bones, trying to get a little lean and cut. I ain't trying to get too big. I still want to be able to wipe, you know what I'm saying, my backside. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. You feel me? Also check out my shorts. I have a goal on trying to complete 100 push-ups straight. Yesterday I knocked out 50. Today I'm up 10. I knocked out 60. Tomorrow we might be at 70, maybe 85. Who knows? Hit that subscribe button and let's get into this workout.
Most people live under the illusion that life is something they must conquer, that they must struggle against the currents of uncertainties, striving endlessly to control outcomes, manipulate circumstances, and force their desires into reality. But what if you stopped? What if, instead of bracing yourself against the chaos, you leaned into the rhythm of the universe with a quiet, unwavering trust that everything, yes, everything, always works out for you? The curious thing, this idea, to act as if the game is rigged in your favor. Not arrogantly, not with entitlement, but with the serenity of someone who knows that they are part of something far more intelligent than their own plans. Imagine moving through your days with the unshakable belief that life is not a series of random misfortunes or haphazard victories, but a perfectly orchestrated dance, in which every misstep, every delay, every so-called failure is simply a clever turn in the choreography, not an error, but an invitation to see things differently. The problem is, we have become so accustomed to fear and resistance that we treat uncertainty like a threat rather than an adventure. We armor ourselves with worry, expecting disappointment just to shield ourselves from the sting of it. We say things like, "I'm just being realistic," when in fact we are only being afraid. But consider the weight that falls away when you choose instead to live as if you are deeply loved by existence itself, that no matter what occurs, the unfolding of your life is always leading you somewhere meaningful, even when the map makes no sense. To act as if everything works out for you is not to deny the storm. It is to carry an inner sun that refuses to be dimmed by them. It is to walk through uncertainty with grace, not because you know the outcome, but because you trust the process. You begin to meet setbacks with curiosity, not panic. You see endings not as failures, but as gentle nudges toward better beginnings. You smile not because life is perfect, but because you are no longer enslaved by the illusion that it needs to be. And once you begin to live this way, truly live this way, the world begins to mirror it back to you. Circumstances soften, opportunities reveal themselves, people show up when you need them, often without explanation. Coincidences begin to form a pattern, not because some external force is suddenly favoring you, but because you finally attuned yourself to the natural flow of things. You've stopped clutching at control, and in doing so, you've allowed the deeper intelligence of life to breathe through you. This is not about pretending to be happy when you're not. It's not about faking positivity or suppressing pain. It's about cultivating a radical kind of faith, not in a distant deity, but in the sacredness of your own experience. The kind of faith that whispers, "I don't know how, I don't know when, but I know that this too is working for me." The kind of faith that turns every detour into a discovery every heartbreak into a holy invitation, every delay into divine timing. There is a peculiar magic in surrender. Not the surrender of defeat, but the surrender of resistance. When you stop insisting that life obey your expectations, you begin to notice that it has been working in your favor all along, only in ways you never thought to imagine. You see, the universe doesn't speak in straight lines. It speaks in spirals, in paradoxes, in synchronicities. And it only begins to make sense when you stop demanding sense from it. So try just for a moment to carry yourself as if you are safe, as if every closed door has a reason, as if every painful moment is a seed, as if every unanswered prayer is a redirection towards something more aligned. Begin to walk not in fear of what might go wrong, but in quiet excitement for how it might all come together in ways you couldn't plan if you tried. And watch, slowly but certainly, how life begins to rise up to meet that expectation. Let go of control. Trust the flow of life. It sounds simple, almost poetic, but the reality of it, the lived truth, is one of the most difficult things for the human mind to accept. We are taught from a young age that if we don't grip tightly, plan meticulously, and worry constantly, then everything will fall apart. We believe deep down that our effort alone is what keeps the world from crumbling around us. And so we live clenched, bodies tense, minds buzzing, hearts restless, always anticipating the next catastrophe, always preparing for some future we cannot see. But have you ever stopped and asked, who told you that life needs to be controlled? Who convinced you that without your anxiety, your constant micromanagement of every possibility, things would go wrong? You see, there's a deep illusion embedded in our way of thinking that we are separate from life and that life is something that must be tamed or directed. This is where all the fear begins. Because the moment you see yourself as an outsider, you believe you must manipulate what's outside to feel safe inside. But the truth is, you are not separate from life. You are life. You are the same intelligence that grows trees without instruction, eats your heart without your permission, and brings waves to shore without needing a manual. And yet, despite this profound connection to something far beyond your conscious comprehension, you still worry that if you let go, everything will collapse. But perhaps it is only when you let go that things can begin to rise. To trust the flow of life is not to become passive. It is to become deeply aligned. It is not the same as giving up. It is the act of stepping back into harmony with what is already unfolding. Life is movement. It is always in motion, always changing, always unfolding. And when you try to stop that movement, when you try to hold things still or force them in a particular direction, you create tension. You create friction between your expectations and reality. That friction is what we often call suffering. Think about the river. It doesn't ask where it is going. It doesn't try to skip the rocks or avoid the bends. It flows, because that is its nature. And the beauty of the river is not found in its straightness, but in its curves. Likewise, your life is not meant to be a rigid line from point A to point B. It is meant to meander, to surprise you, to take you through forests you didn't plan for and valleys you never dreamed of. But if you're too busy trying to paddle upstream, you'll miss the magic of where the current is trying to take you. There's a kind of grace that arrives when you finally say, I don't need to control this anymore. Not because you stopped caring, but because you stopped clinging. You allowed life to breathe again. You allowed yourself to breathe again. You might wonder, what if letting go means I lose something important? But I would ask you, how many things have you lost by holding on too tightly? How many moments have passed you by because you were too busy trying to control the next one? The irony is that in our obsession with controlling life, we often miss living it. We become so attached to outcomes that we forget the present is already sacred. We wait for the perfect alignment, the perfect condition, before we allow ourselves to relax. But life never promised perfection. It only promised presence. And presence is all you ever need. Letting go is not something you do once. It's a practice. A moment-by-moment remembrance that you are not here to control the tide, only to serve it. And some days the waves will be high. Other days the water will be still. But your peace doesn't have to depend on the conditions. Your peace can come from knowing that you are never truly off course. Even the detours, even the delays, are part of the dance. You may not always understand them in the moment, but life has a way of revealing its wisdom in hindsight. Often, it's the things we fought hardest against that ended up saving us. The plans that fell apart that gave us room to breathe. The people who left that made space for our true selves to emerge. When you let go, you are not saying that you don't care. You are saying that you trust something greater than your fear. You are saying that you believe life is not out to get you, it's out to grow you. And growth doesn't always look like forward motion. Sometimes it looks like stillness. Sometimes it looks like chaos. But even in the chaos, there is a deeper order unfolding. Like a symphony may sound dissonant in one measure, only to resolve into harmony later. Your life is playing a tune that only makes sense when you stop trying to skip ahead. So breathe. Loosen your grip. Let the weight fall from your shoulders. Trust that you are not lost. You are simply being led by a path that doesn't announce itself in advance.
Cool season is coming. Soften the blows with the #1 motion tissue. Bones.
Kickstart your morning with severe congestion and cough relief. Relief starts with a kick.
The new Infiniti QX80 and QX60 Sport are dark chrome stealthed out thieves. With beauty that steals your attention, your breath, and the competition's thunder. Make the perfect getaway in the first ever Infiniti QX80 and QX60 Sport.
This is Mabel, and she's about to use technology to explore the animal world. This beaver is now Mabel.
The truth is, everything doesn't need to be figured out right now. It just needs to be felt. It just needs to be lived. And the more you trust that you are exactly where you are meant to be, the more you'll begin to see that letting go was never the end, it's always the beginning. What if failure isn't failure at all? What if what you call a setback is simply a part of a larger, unfolding, unseen thread in the greater tapestry of your life? You see, we've been taught to view life linearly. Success follows effort, reward follows plan, If something doesn't go the way we intended, we label it wrong, broken, a mistake. But the universe doesn't operate by human timelines or definitions. It doesn't move in straight lines. It curves, it spirals, it meanders. It teaches through contrast, and it speaks in silence. And more often than not, the very thing we wish hadn't happened is the doorway to a reality we never could have imagined if we were left to our own small ideas of how things should be. Perceiving every setback as part of the plan requires a different kind of seeing. It's not the seeing of the eyes, which are bound by surface appearances. It's the seeing of the soul, a kind of inner vision that watches not just what happens, but how it changes us. There is a secret order to the chaos, a quiet rhythm even in the noise. But you have to be still long enough to hear it. And the stillness doesn't come when life is calm. It comes when you stop fighting the storm. Sometimes we are so fixated on what we've lost that we fail to see what we're being given. A lost job feels like failure until months later we realize it freed us from a life that was never meant for us. A breakup feels like rejection until we notice how much we were shrinking just to be accepted. A delay feels like divine silence until the day something arrives that makes us whisper, "Ah, now I understand." Life is not interested in your comfort, it is interested in your awakening. And awakening often feels like falling apart before it feels like rising. There is nothing inherently wrong with desiring outcomes, goals, dreams, plans. They are part of how we navigate the world. But the suffering begins when we believe that those outcomes are the only path to fulfillment. When we mistake the map for the territory. Because then, when something doesn't go as planned, we panic. We interpret the detour as doom. But in truth, life is always guiding us. It's just that its language is too subtle for our mind that is constantly judging every moment. So we must practice a deeper kind of listening. When the door closes, don't curse it. Pause. Ask what you are being protected from, even if you don't know the answer yet. When the relationship ends, don't spiral into unworthiness. Ask what parts of yourself you can now reclaim. When the opportunity vanishes, don't descend into despair. Consider that maybe there's something bigger preparing itself behind the scene. The question is not, why did this happen to me? The question is, what is this here to teach me? That one question shifts everything. Life doesn't promise ease, it promises evolution. And evolution rarely happens in clarity or convenience. It happens in tension, in loss, in the unraveling of who we thought we were, so that something deeper can emerge. Think of a seed underground. From above it looks like nothing's happening. It's buried, it's in darkness, but inside transformation is occurring. The shell is cracking, the roots are growing. Something is taking shape, slowly, invisibly. And yet, if you didn't know better, you might say it's failing, it's stuck, it's lost. But give it time, and one day, it breaks the surface. That's how growth works. It's silent before it's seen. It's confusing before it's clear.
I see y'all
So when life brings you to your